Organized by the Regional Development Forum of SLASCOM. This is a monthly webinar series organized for the third consecutive year, which is also aimed to provide insights to the next generation of the industry and to equip them with knowledge on various aspects of the IT and BPM industry. Today, we host this webinar, which is the fifth webinar of the series. I'm Rukshila Fernandopulle, your host this evening. As a university student, your dream is to become an exceptional software engineer in this rapidly growing industry. Continuous learning and practical experiences is vital for this. For today's session, we have an industry specialist with us to share insights on how you can build your career in becoming a professional software engineer. Before we jump into this session, we would like to say a special note of thanks to our sponsors of this series. As platinum sponsors, we have LSEG and Vital Hub Innovations Lab. And as gold sponsors, we have on board Pearson, Oral IT, Accents. And as today's knowledge partner, we have on board Creative Software. Stay tuned as you have a valuable opportunity to participate in a quiz and win an amazing prize as well. Without further ado, let me introduce today's speaker to you. We have with us today Asitha Bandara. Asitha is an associate technical lead and a team lead at Creative Software. He's also a project supervisor at the University of Moratuwa, Faculty of IT. He's equipped with 5 years of experience in the industry and is here today to share some of his knowledge with us. Thank you, Asitha, for joining us today. This session is now over to you.
All right. Hello, good evening, everyone. Thank you, Rukshi. Right. So I hope you all are doing great. And first of all, I must say that I'm very glad to be here, taking part of this webinar series. Becoming a professional software engineer. So this is my topic for today. So I'm going to go through some useful tips that could help to improve your professional career. So if you take the current industry, so that is very huge, right? The technology stack is very huge. There are so many programming languages, so many frameworks out there. So you can use so many things to do one simple thing as well. And also you might think that you are a good software engineer because that you can code very fast. And also you may be the fastest coder in your team. And you know several programming languages. But you must know that there are so many machine learning or AI based stuff out there in the world right now where they can code even faster than you. So you might have heard about the ChatGPT, recently came from OpenAPI. So that is really impressive, right? Yeah. So if you haven't tried that, I suggest you to try that, the ChatGPT. But none of those things will make you a professional software engineer. So there's a difference between a good software engineer and a professional software engineer. So in this becoming, in the pathway of becoming a professional software engineer, you must improve your skill set. If we take the skills, we can divide that into two types, right? Technical and non-technical. So technical skills are the skill set that you can actually learn from maybe in your university or maybe some tutorials and stuff like that. But this non-technical stuff is the main part where we can focus on the way of becoming a professional software engineer. Because this is not something that we can learn. This will come from the practice and the experience. Right. Anyhow, what is more important is to know the basics correct. Because if you have a strong foundation, you can grow strong. Otherwise, your pathway is somewhat fragile, right? So I would recommend you to have a very strong base, which is like learn the basics real well. I have seen more young people come to the industry by like, they know so many programming languages, so many techniques, so many tools and stuff, but they have missed the most very basic concepts. So in such situations, it's so hard to do a quality outcome. So as undergraduates, what we should focus more is on the basics. So learn the basics real well so you can grow and create your career path very strong. So I have included an image here on the right hand side. So that is the flow chart. Maybe you don't have to learn any of the programming language. To find a solution, you can use a flow chart, right? Where once you get a task to do, you can just do a flow chart and solve the problem. And after that, you can use any of the programming language to actually build that. So programming language is just a tool to express the concept, right? So I'm going to explain some two concepts here, the solid principle and the agile manifesto. So you might have heard about these stuff. Solid principle, we can use this actually to refactor a software architecture, right? And the agile manifesto is the methodology that we use now to work in an environment, so we can like move with the people, talk with the people, and gain something good. And at the end of the day, like output a very good quality outcome. So if you have heard about these two concepts, you might have probably heard about this person, Robert C. Martin, aka the Uncle Bob. So he's a software engineer, an instructor, an author. So this person is the one who invented, who introduced this solid principle and the agile manifesto. So all around the world, we are using those stuff, right? So if you haven't heard about this person and his famous books, I recommend you to find them and read them. So there is one famous book of him called The Clean Code, the Code of Conduct for Professional Programmers. So I'm here to share you some useful tips on your pathway of becoming a professional software engineer based on this book. So this book is not about the functions, the design perspective, procedures and stuff. This is about the day-to-day conduct that we should follow on the way of becoming a professional software engineer. So let's see my thoughts. The first one is about the professionalism. This is all about the responsibility. So as a professional, the most important thing or the most first thing that we should take care of is the responsibility. When you become more professional, your responsibility will become higher. So this is about the software engineering industry, right? So becoming a professional in the industry of software engineering. So in that case, mostly what we do is coding. Actually, it is very unprofessional to provide a code with bugs to the QA team. As you all know, in the software development life cycle, we have so many stages. And after you code, you are going to the design stage. In that case, if you know there is a bug as a software engineer, but anyhow you think to pass it to the next level, that is very unprofessional. So as a professional, make sure your code is tested. And the next thing, your career is your responsibility. It is not someone else's responsibility to guide you or to give you books to learn or to give you or to take you to conferences and stuff. That is your responsibility. If you want to learn new things, if you want to engage more with the tech stuff, you have to be involved with those things by yourself. So take the responsibility of yourself if you want to become a professional software engineer. And also, more importantly, knowledge is really important. So you can learn the design patterns, the principles, methods, and disciplines when you're coding, not even in the coding, when you are talking, when you are convincing someone else, or when you are showing, when you're doing a presentation. There are a lot of skills that we can improve. A lot of disciplines are there in this industry. So make sure you make your skills sharp and ready whenever it needs. So the first one, the professionalism, it is all about the responsibility. Let's move on. Having an open and growth mindset, saying no and saying yes. So this is somewhat really important in this industry, because most of the people doesn't know where to say no and where to say yes. So there can be conflicts. So as professionals in this industry, we should know when to say yes and when to say no. Even for your managers, if it is not possible, you should be able to say no. And as a professional, you should be able to say yes by trying hard or make the no possible. You should find solutions. So that is the professionalism. And also, this saying no or saying yes should come through the negotiations. You don't have to fight for that anyway. So we should use the negotiations and actively communicate with the members and get to the outcome. So that is how we should do. And also with these communications, there can be blockers along the way on the development maybe, or maybe in the requirement gathering space, or maybe in design or in the implementation. Of this SDLC, the software defined life cycle, you can face blockers on any of these stages. In that case, as a professional, you should bring up these blockers as soon as they come. Then only we can figure out a solution and talk with people and come to a solution without being there as a mess. All right. Coding. So this is something that we all do as a software engineer. Coding is the most prioritized work that we do. In that case, as a professional, we should not introduce bugs when you are coding. Or if you know this is a bug, we don't want to do that, right? There can be bugs. We can't write 100% perfect codes anyhow, other than the ChatGPT. Anyway, so if you're tired, or if you're worried, or if you're distracted, so I'm suggesting that not to code, just do something else with that time period. So you have to have a very fresh mindset when you start coding and a positive energy. So spend some time for yourself, or with your family, with your friends, and have a good vibe, and then come with a very fresh mind and with the positive energy, so you can be the problem solver in your work. So that is something really cool to practice. So I suggest you to practice that when you are coding. And also, my third point is prepare to be interrupted. So when you are in a professional environment, and if you are a professional, you should be ready to get interrupted. Because why? It's a professional thing to do, to help someone. If someone has a blocker along the way of development or in design or whatever, you should help them if they asked, obviously. So that's a good thing to do. So don't be afraid to fail. Face challenges. That's the main thing. So you are undergraduates. So this is, I have seen so many young people are afraid of doing new things, or afraid of getting new things into their life, even in the, not in the software engineering aspect as well. But in this industry is growing very fast. A lot of new technologies are coming up. So don't be afraid to fail. Writing bad code is a prerequisite to write the good code. Like, we can't actually write the good code as soon as we come to this industry. We should start somewhere. So don't be afraid to write the bad code, because why? Writing bad code is actually an advantage. So we know we have done something bad. So we can improve that into a good code. So that is something that we can do. So writing bad code is a prerequisite to write the good code. So don't be afraid. You can start with something. So in this case, in my experience in the industry, I have seen a lot of young people or the freshers come into the industry are doing this mistake. So what is that is, when they are given a task to do, the first thing they do is Google or YouTube. They go to YouTube or they go to Google, just type the feature and take a video tutorial and do exactly what the video says. So you're doing someone else's opinion at the very first stages. So the possibility of learning new things or learning something is very low. So this will affect your professional career path. So I'm suggesting not to do that. If you are doing this one right now, please stop doing that one, because that will not make any good for you or to your career or to your employer, whoever. So I have 2 steps given in this presentation, step 1 and step 2. If you have given a task to do, the step 1 is to start with something. You have to start with something. Don't ask anybody. Just talk to yourself, talk to your mind, right? Remember what you have learned in your industry or learned from the university or whatever. Do something. Start with something, which means this is, when you're starting, it doesn't have to be a coding or a proof of concept software or whatever. What you can do is you can just draw something like a diagram, or simply you can use a flowchart for that specific task. And then the next step is to evaluate yourself. You can evaluate what you have done, whether it is wrong on your opinion or whether I can improve this stuff. That is something that you can do referring to the previous solution that you have done. So you can repeat this. With this repetition, on 3rd and 4th repetition, actually you can ask for help from your senior, or now you can search in the Google or YouTube. So once the repetition is going on, ultimately you will end up with a very good solution. So this is something that you can actually practice when you are working, when you are coding, or along the way of becoming a professional software engineer. So this is really important, guys. Don't just Google at the first glance. Just try something new. Just try to do something. So that is what about the steps that you can do when you are working with a new project or when you are given a task.
Thank you, Asita, for that initial session with a very brief and practical examples which you brought to our undergraduates. So we will get back to the conversation after a few quick messages from our Platinum sponsors. So do stay tuned with us until the end and participate in the quiz as well.
LSEC Technology, solution provider to financial market institutions around the globe. We provide trading, surveillance, clearing, depository solutions to over 25 institutions spread out over 5 continents.
Innovation is the legacy and the foundation of our success, and will continue to be a key success factor in our future as well. We are a niche, high-performing organization with world-class talent. We attract the cream of the system in the country.
LSEG technology products win in the market due to its technical competitiveness. That is, we are a few years ahead of the competition in terms of technology. To preserve our competitive advantage, we do invest in keeping our developers abreast and up to date of all the current technologies, so that in turn our products are extremely competitive in the marketplace.
We belong to a fabulous legacy which has changed year on year to be completely new, current and different. So all of us who is in this organization now and somebody who is a potential family member has an opportunity to shape, navigate, envision what it ought to be for the next centuries to come.
We have operated this company in Colombo for the last 15 years. We started in 2007, staff of 4 people, supporting one core product. and we've now grown to 85 people supporting 15 plus products using various different modern technologies. We develop software for export only. This has given us an opportunity to bring in a steady flow of dollars into the country every month. We believe in giving university students an opportunity to work on real-world projects. As a result, we have built a very robust internship program. We have successfully implemented several CSR projects over the years, particularly focused on gender diversity. We have a very relaxed global one-office culture. We have standard HR policies across the board. We believe that respect must be shown to all fellow employees, regardless of geographic location. We believe that face-to-face interactions are very important in building business relationships. As a result, we regularly promote two-way travel programs and make it available for all of our staff on a regular basis.
Welcome back, everyone. So you're joining us live on the Tech Together webinar on becoming a professional software engineer. This is a reminder for you to stay tuned until the end to participate in the quiz and be a winner as well. So now to continue with the discussion, back to you, Asita.
Thank you. All right. So we were in this slide about what to do when you get a task. About the coding sections, there are some best practices that we can practice when you are coding along the way on this becoming a professional software engineer. So coding is one of the most important part in this life, right? So in that case, I have inserted few points that we can practice to make our code valid. So the first one is do one thing at a time. So this is also really important. We can see like few of the software engineers will do so many tasks at the same time. So this might give the software quality kind of a bad reputation. Because why? When you are doing so many things at the same time, the focus for one simple thing is less. So in that case, the quality of that specific feature will get low. So what I'm suggesting is to do one thing at a time. Focus on that specific task, do that and finish it and go to the next one. So that might give you more satisfaction and more quality on the work that you do. The next one, keep the pull request or the change list small. So this is really important. I also have seen so many people do this mistake when they have done with their coding, and there is a process that we have to review the code before merging. I hope you all know this one. In the software development life cycle, when you are working with a feature, when we have done with the development, before merging the changes that we have done to the master branch or the live environment directly, we don't do that directly. What we do is create a small pull request or a small place where others can review the code. And if there are mistakes, we can fix that. So this reviewing part is kind of the most hardest part in this development, because we have to review someone else's code. We have to look for the mistakes that they have done or look for the best practices. So if the pull request is small enough, the reviewer's job is easy. So that is very unprofessional to make a very large pull request. So reviewer might get frustrated and they might miss something. So at the end, the production environment or the live software might cause with bugs. So keep your pull request small. And third point, know when it's right time to ask for help. So this is really important. So the attitude, there are some people who have the attitude like doing their stuff by their own without asking help from anybody. So that is not that professional in this industry, because the technology is growing very fast. There are so many techniques to do the same thing, so many best practices. We can even write the solution for a problem with different ways. So we have to find the best way to write the solution. So in that case, it is actually better to ask someone else's opinion or get some help. You can just try by your own for 30 to 40 minutes. I can say that when you're growing, it can be very low. And if you can't find a solution, just ask for help. And know your audience. This is also an important thing. As software engineers, we are working with different people, right? We are working with other colleagues, the core software engineers, the testers, the quality assurance engineers, maybe the graphic designers, the business analysts, so many people, or maybe the actual client. So in that case, if you don't know the audience, you don't know how to communicate. So if you have a miscommunication or the communication gets, not very well, you might end up doing something else and the client might expect something else. So knowing your audience is really important. Do not ignore the technical depth. This is also quite important. Technical depth, I hope you have learned this one in your university. Technical depth is if you something bad can happen because of this, but you ignore this to do it in future. So when you do it in future, that might cost more people, cost more money. So we don't have to ignore this technical depth. Once you find something like that, prioritize that and do it. And also there are some principles like KISS, DRY, and YAGNI. You can actually practice these things when you are coding. That is really important. So these things are some best practices you can use when you are coding to make your code quality good. So your reviewer also will get happy with this. Right, so let's move to the next topic, that is practice. So along the way of becoming the professional software engineer, practice is really important. Because why? The professionals can work fast. Not only the software engineers, all professionals are fast. That's why they call professionals. And this fastness of the professional doesn't come from overnight. It's come from the practice. So if you practice enough only, you will get to the professional level. So you can engage with skill sharpening exercises. For software engineers, we can actually have an insight on the hacker ranks or something like that. And also you can practice coding outside the work. This is, I'm not telling that do not spend any time with your friends and family, but I'm telling that you can practice coding outside the work. Maybe you can go to the boot camps, or you can do some open source projects, something like that. And continuous learning is important. As I said earlier, the technology in the industry, the world is growing. A lot of technology is coming out, the programming languages are coming out. So learning continuously is an important thing to do. So practice, practice, practice. And the testing. In the software development life cycle, the testing plays a major role in order to give a very quality software outcome or the quality outcome to the customers. So every professional development team needs a very good testing strategy. So as a professional software engineer, we should obey these testing strategies, or we should follow these testing concepts. So I have added a diagram here. This is the testing pyramid. The first one, the manual test and the unit test, can be done by the software engineer by himself. And the others we can, like, once we have done the unit test and the manual test, we can actually pass the software to the next level, so they can start doing the automation, the integration testings, and all the testing stuff by the QA team. So testing is a very important thing to do. So remember that we should follow that. So this is the new trend, test-driven development. I mean, this is not new, but new for most of the people, I can say that. Without start developing, once you get the requirement, we write the test cases first. That is about the test-driven development, the TDD. So the main benefit of this is we can reduce the bugs and errors with this kind of an approach. Because why? When we start developing, we actually have the test cases. We know where it can fail. So we know the data we can put and everything. So when we write the code, that is easy for the software engineers as well. In that case, writing the test cases first is good. And also there are some importance of this one. It can enhance the certainty, the courage of the software engineer. And also ultimately we can have a very good documentation. We don't have to do that again. When you have the test cases first, that's the documentation that we can have for the purpose of referring again. So you can practice TDD, which is a really cool thing to do. At least you have to practice that one. Right. The next one is managing the time. So as a professional, we should be able to manage our time nicely. Otherwise, you will end up being a huge time waster. So in regards to that, meetings are the most time wasters that we have during our during the work. But also that is important. Meetings are important to gather the requirements maybe, or clarify things, negotiate and stuff. So they are important and also huge time wasters. So as a professional software engineer, you should be able to choose what meetings to attend, what meetings not to attend. So this is really important to manage. So the next point is the Pomodoro technique. So this is the technique that we can use to actually increase our productivity. I personally practice this one, not only me, my colleagues in my co-work area. I actually practice this one. So I'm suggesting you to practice this one as well. So I can brief you what is Pomodoro technique. So in the diagram, you can see the technique. In the technique, the first step is to decide the task that you need to do. This can be taken from the sprint backlog, right? So you know what is a sprint, right? Sprint is, I don't have to say, I think you learn this stuff in the university. Anyway, I'll just give a brief on that. The sprint is a kind of a short-term plan that we can practice to get the outcome quickly. So in this, for example, we do the sprints for 2 weeks at our co-work space. In that case, you can actually get the prioritized tasks into the sprint and you can work on that, do the testing stuff. At the end, you are like releasing the feature. So in that case, you can decide on what to do and set the timer for 25 minutes and work fully focused within that 25 minutes. Fully focused means you have to switch off the phone. The first thing, the social media, and switch off all the notifications in your laptop and work fully focused for 25 minutes and get a 5 minutes break. And you can continue this one for 4 times and get a kind of a good break for 30 minutes. I'm taking 30 minutes, so that is really important. So if you practice this one, you might feel the productivity by yourself. So I'm highly recommending you to practice this one, the Pomodoro technique. The estimation. This is one of the most simplest activity and also the most frightening activity in the software development lifecycle. So when we estimate some things as a professional software engineer, we might face so many troubles. Because why? The uncertainty of the task is really high, right? We don't know what's the output. There can be some simple tasks that we do know the certainty, but most of them we don't know. So practice the estimation is really important as a professional software engineer. So you have to know the difference between the estimation and the commitments. Like commitments is what you do to make it happen, and estimation is a guess. So when you are guessing something, you have to keep a bar for the errors. Always include the error bars. Otherwise, you will end up with like a very stressful situation where you don't have time to complete the stuff. And when you're guessing, and like before making the commitment, you have to make sure the specific task can be achieved. Otherwise, you have to break down the task into different small sections. So in the estimation, we can actually estimate our task with hours or story points. If you need more details, I can just give you. The estimation can happen with hours and story points, and the estimation can be done with compared to 3 attributes: the uncertainty, the risk of the task, and the effort that we have to put in. So we can consider these 3 attributes and estimate. Working under pressure. I think as a software engineer, like most of us might have work under pressure or might working under pressure. So this is something obvious for us in most of the cases. Because why? Things can happen, incidents can happen in the production environment, the clients are using that one. So we have to, like there can be a pressure situations we have to manage. In that case, if you are a professional software engineer, you should practice to stay calm in such situations. Because professionals don't rush on the stuff. They first analyze and then start doing what needs to be done. So we have to always follow the disciplines, right? Manage your commitments, keep the code clean. So we all understand when we are under pressure, we might get panic and do something that is not useful. So this can happen. If this happens, the main the environment that which is in the live or where the customer is using will get corrupted, right? So we don't want to do that. So as a professional, stay calm, keep your code clean. That is really important. If you push something bad into the repository or bad into the publication, that is not good. That is bad and unprofessional. So the main thing that we have to do in such situation is communicate. Without communication, we will not be able to understand what the real cause is of the problem or the situation. So communication with the core people or the clients is really important. And also, if you don't know the stuff, if you are stuck, ask for help. That is not unprofessional to ask for help. So that is a professional thing. Ask for help, get some help, and get the work done. So professionals are there to get the work done anyhow. So be a professional and work under pressure, stay cool. Teamwork. Teamwork is really important in this industry. As software engineers, we are not working alone, right? And I can say that it is highly unprofessional to work alone in this industry. Like most of the people say that software engineers are not people engage employees, like they do not talk to people. But that is not an excuse. That is not an excuse. So software engineers, to be professional, you have to work with a team. Otherwise, you don't know what the others think. So, and also in this team, there can be, like I said earlier, business analysis, QA, graphic designers, or actual clients. Thank you, Miniman. Right? So we have to learn each other's weaknesses and strengths so we can understand them, and we know what they can do and what they can't. So we can divide the features or divide the issues to be done. So that is really important. And also there is a saying that teams are harder to build than projects. So I can say that that is true, because most of the employees or most of software engineers are not going to come to the people. But as a professional, to be a professional, we should talk with the people. We should go with the people. So teamwork is really, really, really important. So love what you do. So only if you love what you do, you can be a professional. So make your work a passion. Without loving what you do, you will not end up being a professional, right? You will get stressed. You will end up in the middle of the pathway. So if you love only, you will get into the professional state, or the professional state. So always do a retrospective. This is one of the most important ceremonies that we have in a Scrum. We have so many ceremonies, the sprint planning, the backlog grooming, so many stuff are there. But this is, I think for me, this is the most important thing. To become a professional software engineer, this is so much important. At the end of the day, you can actually talk about and discuss with your co-workers what things went wrong, what things went right, and stuff. So in this retrospective, actually, we can talk about what to stop doing and what to do less and what to keep doing and what to do more and what to start doing, like new things. So with these 5 sections, we can talk with our team members. So everyone can give the opinion. So we can obey those opinions and discuss them, negotiate them, and do a very good retrospective. So this is something really important along the pathway of becoming a professional software engineer. So professionals do this even in their day-to-day life. At the end of the day, they will look for their whole work, and they will think what they have done wrong, what they have done good, what to keep doing and stuff. So retrospective is a really important thing to do. And the next one, the contribution to the community. Making connections and networking. So as a software engineer, when you are becoming a professional, it is good to contribute to the community. So it is not just embracing yourself and learning stuff only for yourself and keep doing the work and full stop. So that is not what we should do as a professional. We have to share our knowledge, our insights, our feedbacks to the other community and other co-members or the fellow students. And also making connections and networking is really important, because why, as I said, the technology is growing very fast in the industry. So people might have different ideas, different technical skills, different opinions on the technology. So it's actually better to discuss with them. Just have a meetup and talk with the technology. So you might end up getting a good knowledge on the technology, as well as you can create a good network with the other co-members. So like the networking, the connections are really important. When you have gotten into a trouble, only you will understand that. So making connection is really important. So for the contribution, actually you can write blogs, and you can actually contribute your answers to the question forums like Stack Overflow. There are the platforms like that. And if you are good with the video tutorials, you can do a tutorial and kind of educational tutorial. And also you can do meetups, and you can organize tech talks where you will give your knowledge or share your knowledge to the tech people or whatever the specific technology, right? So that is something that you can do. Right. Anyway, so these are some few useful tips that we can actually practice along the way when you are along the way of becoming a professional software engineer. So being a professional is not an easy task to do. That is not come overnight. So remember that becoming a professional software engineer takes years. It can take years. That is not happen overnight. So enjoy your career and enjoy your journey of becoming a craftsman. And practice, practice, practice. Always use the disciplines and respect others. That is really important. So that will conclude my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Asita, for that very practical explanation and guide to the undergraduates, and also the insights which you have provided them so that they can achieve their dream of becoming a professional software engineer. So now it's the time to move into the much awaited quiz. The link to the quiz is available on the chat box. Hope you all have already accessed it, and you all can drop your answers now. So as we await for the quiz winner to be displayed in a moment, we can take a few questions from the audience. So if you have any questions, you can drop it in the chat box as well. So Asita, I would like to take a few questions which we have received. Right, there's one question. Is Agile Manifesto the same as the Agile we practice or learn?
Actually, the Agile Manifesto is the methodology that we can use in the software development life cycle. The Agile is the way we do the work. So Agile can have different aspects. So manifesto is the code of conduct. So it has so many points that we should cover in the Agile environment. So Agile is like the environment which is changing very fast. So we have so many ceremonies and so many ways to do stuff. So Agile Manifesto is the code of conduct, and Agile is the method that we practice in the working environment.
Okay, thanks, Asita. So I think we have time for another question. In the near future, we should get out of our internships. In that case, all software companies might look for students who practice professionalism. How can we express or prove that to the interviewer? That's a good question, Asita. How would you like to answer that?
Yes. So as undergraduates, you might actually have this question when you are coming to an interview. And also in the industry, we are looking for professionals actually, not even from the internship, we are looking for professionals. We are looking for skills. So when you are doing the interview, so this can happen from a very, we can actually identify a professional even from a smallest activity. For example, I can say this, if you're asked to do a code, right? And you are asked to share your screen and do a code, the way you approach that code comes with the professional skill. So someone can just open the notepad and write the code, but there can be another person who would create a folder for that specific task and who would create a specific notepad file with a good name. So that is professional, because he knows this can be shared or referred in the later or in the near future. So he knows what to do. So that is, do you understand what I'm saying? The professionalism, we can't say exactly this is professionalism, but if you practice those things, for example, the example that I have said, you have to be very precise on what you do. So that is the answer for that one.
Okay, Asita, I hope we answered that question as well. So we are still waiting for our quiz winner to be displayed on the screen, which should be done anytime soon. Okay, so we should have a winner in a few seconds. Okay, yes, so we do have a winner. It's Mohammed Musalib Mujahid Hilal. So Mohammed, the SLASCOM team will contact you regarding your gift. Congratulations on that. So moving on, I think we have answered a few questions from our audience as well. So with that, I think it's time for us to say a note of thanks to our sponsors. As platinum sponsors, we had LSEG and Vital Hub Innovations Lab. And as our gold sponsors, we had Pearson, Oral IT, and Accents. And as today's knowledge partner, we had Creative Software with us. We appreciate your support towards the success of this webinar series. So the next session of the Tech webinar series will be on intelligent automation using Apache NiFi, scheduled in March. So we hope that to see you in this brand new session of webinar. So once again, a special thank you to our speaker of today, Asita Bandara. We are very grateful for your presence and your knowledge sharing with our undergraduates this evening.
Thank you.
So thank you everyone who joined us live. We hope you have a pleasant evening. Thank you.